Lawyers, what's a law that isn't real, that normal people insist exists? It's a law that exists, but widely misunderstood, is the concept of entrapment. If the police put a bait vehicle in a high crime area, that is not entrapment. If the police are watching a bar known to overserve to see if there are impaired drivers at the end of the night, that is not entrapment. Entrapment only occurs when a gov agent suggests committing a crime that you were not otherwise going to commit. This actually happened to an old high school teacher of mine. He thought he was going on a date with a lady he met online. When they met up for the date, who happened to be an undercover officer, she was like, "I'm not really interested in a date, but $4 I'll do," to which he obliged. He was charged with soliciting a prostitute, but the charges were dropped since he was only actually interested in the date and had no desire to solicit anything until the officer brought it up. An arrest isn't magically invalidated if the police don't read you your rights on the spot. There could be a whole thread of just misconceptions people have from watching cop TV. Miranda rights protect you from self-incrimination when being questioned by the police for a crime. It doesn't mean they have to Miranda you the second you get arrested. If you aren't questioned, then it doesn't apply. People also think it's illegal not to let them make a phone call after being arrested. It's federal law in the US that a plainclothes or undercover police officer has to identify themselves as law enforcement if asked. No, it's not the law, and they can tell you whatever the F they want. My father, who is a lawyer, policemen cannot lie to you. This is false. They can and they do. In California, it's not illegal to discuss your wages with your coworkers, despite what your boss might say. People that think it's illegal to be videotaped in a public space. Driving with interior overhead car lights on is not illegal. No laws against driving barefoot. Probate attorney here. I've heard many people ask me when the reading of the will is going to take place. I explain to them that only happens in movies. But one of these days I'm going to have one and hire a mysterious blonde wearing a veil to sit in the corner quietly. Then I'll tell everyone that she inherits everything. Provided, of course, that she must adopt the descendant's cute but troublemaking 6-year-old child no one knew about. Or she can spend the night in a haunted house. Her choice. In the UK, that it is illegal to drink under the age of 18. You can buy alcohol with a meal at 16, beer, wine, cider, and you are not breaking any laws if you give your child some alcohol in the privacy of your own home and they are over the age of 5. Edit. At 16 you have to be accompanied by an adult and it is paid for by the adult. In the UK, it's not illegal to park on someone else's driveway. It's classified as trespassing, a civil offense, not criminal, which means the police can't do anything. This particularly surprises people as many think that they have exclusive rights to the parking outside their house as well. As a former lawyer, UK, I lost count of the amount of people that thought jaywalking was a crime. Unless it's a road that specifically states no pedestrians or a motorway, no such offense exists here. Edit. To clarify, I am talking about it not being a crime in the UK. It may well be elsewhere, Australia, USA, Germany and others. The one that is the most frustrating to me, even though it's not really a specific claim that a particular law exists, more a rule of evidence, is that's just hearsay. You have no evidence. Comes up all the time, in all kinds of contexts. Even lawyers love using it when it suits them. Nothing but hearsay and speculation. Usually, what people mean when they say that is don't believe them. They're lying. Which, fair enough, but that's not what hearsay means. Lots of evidence is just a person talking. That's what a witness is. It's why testimony exists. It's not evidence, just because it's a person talking. Hearsay just means that in most cases, you can't have person A say that person B said is in order to prove that is actually is true. Hearsay, get it? I heard B say it. It just means your witness can only talk about things they actually know about. And, extremely importantly, it also doesn't count as hearsay when person B is actually the person on the other side of the case. Person A is totally allowed to say person B told me yes, I will commit the crime on Tuesday. If person B is the defendant, who has been accused of committing the crime on Tuesday, you don't get to complain, it's hearsay if you're the one who supposedly said the thing they heard. This isn't exactly what you're asking for, but I think it's valuable for people to know. You do not need to wait 24 hours to report someone as missing. US. Ex-lawyer here. There is no law that requires the police to provide you with their name and badge number when asked. There may be internal policies, but it's not the law. There is also no law that requires the police to get a supervisor if demanded. Again, policy vs law. There is no law that allows you to question whether an order given by the police is lawful or not. A court has to decide if the order was lawful after the fact, but there are laws to punish you if you do not comply. Paralegal. A lot of people think that the law requires you to be a good decent person. If I'm sitting on a bench and see a blind person about to walk into the path of a bus, it's completely legal for me in the United States to remain silent, take my cell phone out, and take a video of his death. It's even legal for me to profit from the video. I'd be a monster for doing it, but there's no law imposing a duty on me to tell this stranger, watch out for that bus. Negligent motorcycle driver forced me to hit him from behind with my car. I was young and naive at the time, never been in an accident until then. Guy makes me sign a paper that says that the accident is my fault because I hit from behind and wanted compensation. I explained the situation to my dad, and he concluded that the guy was obstructing normal traffic, and I had no option but to hit him from behind in the particular circumstance. The guy ended up taking us to court, showed the judge the piece of paper that I signed. I explained that I signed it under duress, and that he explained that by law, whoever hits from behind is responsible for the accident. Judge looked him in the eye and asked him if that's true. He said yes. Then she asked him to point out which law states that. He just shut the F up. F that guy. Sovereign citizen stuff. I feel like enough folks have claimed to be sovereign citizens that it's become normal. But no, generally you can't declare yourself exempt from the laws in effect where you are. Good Samaritan laws aren't nearly as broad as people think. For context, I work in emergency services. Some people believe that I was trying to help are the magic words that can get them out of any sticky situation. Edit. Good Sam laws vary by country and state, and the medical examples are a little more black and white than others. Adding a non-medical example of what I'm talking about, imagine you're driving your car and notice someone on the side of the road who needs help. As you swerve off the road to provide assistance to this person in need, you incidentally run over a child on the sidewalk. After the situation is over, you're definitely not free from the consequences of running over the child with your car, just because you had good intentions of helping someone else. Versions of that story have occurred, and the drivers have tried to use a Good Samaritan defense because they meant well. There is absolutely some gray area on the subject, but if your unprompted action undoubtedly makes the situation worse than if you'd done nothing, having good intentions is not a get out of jail free card, and a bunch of people don't understand that concept. In the UK, people often claim that if an item is listed for sale in a shop, then the shop legally has to sell it to you at that price. This is not true at all, as the shop doesn't have to sell you anything at any price. Often as a gesture of goodwill, shops will honor erroneous prices, but they are under absolutely no obligation to do so. Not a lawyer, but as someone who watches a lot of r/public freakout videos with people screaming, it's illegal to film me without my permission. I would say that in most cases you don't need someone's permission to film in a public place where there is no expectancy of privacy. If it were a public bathroom, then yeah, that might be a problem, but filming at a park or on the sidewalk is not illegal. That commercial use of a photograph means selling the photograph. Commercial use means that there is an implied endorsement. You can take and sell photos of Eric Clapton all day long. Put that same photo in an advertisement for a certain guitar without a release and you can be sued. Freedom of speech and censorship laws do not apply on social media. If your comments or posts get deleted by an administrator, it is not infringing on your rights. Have you been arrested for your statements? Have you been prosecuted for saying something? If the answer is no, then chill out. the legal limit for back in drunk driving. There is no such thing. The common refrain you hear, especially from media outlets that have no idea what the fuck they are talking about, is that there's a legal limit to the amount of alcohol you can safely have in your system and legally drive a car. No. Simply no. It doesn't exist. There is a statutorily established Paresi limit in every state. This means that if you are driving and your back is over that limit, you are Paresi intoxicated and the state doesn't require any more evidence to convict you. But if you are under that limit, you can still be convicted of drunk driving or driving while intoxicated. The state will have to provide additional evidence to do so. So, even though you've just had one, or have a back under the legal limit, you can still get arrested and convicted of drunk driving /DUI/OUI, or whatever else your state calls it. I'm no lawyer, but I don't feel like most of the villains in Scooby-Doo committed any actual crime. I don't think it's against the law to put on a mask and scare some trespassers on your own property. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.